Your memory is not a camera. It's a storyteller. And sometimes, it's a terrible one. Imagine this. You're sitting with an old friend, reminiscing about a trip you took years ago. You remember the warm night air, the conversation you had under the streetlights, the joke that made both of you laugh until you couldn't breathe. The scene feels vivid, real, undeniably yours. But then your friend corrects you. No, that happened the second night, not the first. And you weren't sitting by the fountain. You were sitting in front of the cafe. And the joke you remember? Someone else told it, not you. Suddenly, the memory you were so confident in starts to crack. You feel confused, maybe even a little defensive. How can something that feels so real be wrong? This is the uncomfortable truth. Your memory is not a camera. It's a storyteller. And sometimes, it's a terrible one. Today, we explore why memory fails, why it bends, breaks, reshapes itself, and sometimes invents events that never happened at all. And more importantly, what this means for your identity, your relationships, and your understanding of your own past. Most people imagine memory as an internal archive, a storage room filled with neatly labeled boxes containing perfect recordings of the past. But that is a myth. Neuroscience tells us that memory is reconstructive, not reproductive. Each time you recall something, you're not opening a file. You're rebuilding it from fragments. Imagine trying to reconstruct a historical event from incomplete documents, biased witnesses, and damaged photographs. That is what your brain does every time you remember anything. And like any reconstruction, it's influenced by your emotions, your beliefs, your expectations, your current mental state, what others have told you, even the passage of time. The act of remembering is more like painting than rewinding. Your brush adds new strokes each time, strokes that feel natural but may not be accurate. This is why memory can feel rich and alive, yet still be fundamentally flawed. Your brain's job is not to perfectly archive your life. Its job is to help you survive. And to survive, you don't need flawless accuracy. You need a coherent story. This is why your brain prefers meaning over precision, simplicity over complexity, patterns over randomness, emotional truth over factual truth. When something happens, your brain immediately tries to fit it into your existing worldview. It fills in gaps. It reshapes confusing details. It stitches together unrelated pieces to create a narrative that makes sense. This process is adaptive. It keeps life understandable, but it also means that your memory is constantly edited by the storyteller in your mind, a storyteller who cares far more about coherence than accuracy. Nothing warps memory like emotion. When something traumatic, embarrassing, joyful, or frightening happens, your brain releases chemicals like adrenaline and cortisol. These chemicals strengthen certain details and suppress others. You might vividly recall the look on someone's face, the tone of their voice, how your heart was pounding, but completely misremember the order of events, what exactly was said, who was standing where, how long it lasted. Strong emotions act like a spotlight, illuminating some parts of the scene while leaving the rest in darkness. This is why two people experiencing the same event can later recall entirely different versions of it, each believing their memory is the true one. Emotion prioritizes survival, not accuracy, and in doing so, it reshapes your past. If you think your memories are stable, consider this. A simple suggestion can alter them. Psychologist Elizabeth Loftus famously demonstrated how malleable memory is. In one experiment, participants watched footage of a car accident. Some were asked, how fast were the cars going when they hit each other? Others were asked, how fast were the cars going when they smashed into each other? That one word "smashed" caused people to estimate higher speeds, remember broken glass that wasn't there, recall a more violent collision. A single adjective changed the memory. This is why therapists must be extremely careful. Investigators are trained to avoid leading questions. Eyewitness testimony is often unreliable. People can be convinced they experienced things that never happened. Memory can be planted, altered, distorted, even created from nothing, and you might never know. One of the most dangerous aspects of memory is this: the confidence you feel has nothing to do with accuracy. You can be absolutely certain of a memory and still be completely wrong. Confidence is influenced by how often you recall the memory, how emotionally charged it is, how many times you've told the story, whether others have validated it, how meaningful it feels. Every time you retell a memory, it solidifies a little more, not because it's true, but because the story becomes familiar. In a sense, you are rehearsing a narrative until it becomes your truth. This is why arguments about the past often feel so hopeless. Both people feel right. Both feel certain. Both are convinced their version is reality. But memory is not reality. It's a personal mythology. Your brain is not designed to store everything. It is designed to filter, to prioritize, and to delete. Forgetting is not a failure. It's a function. If you remembered every detail of every day, you would drown in information. You wouldn't be able to think clearly, make decisions, or focus on what matters. So your brain erases repetitive experiences, irrelevant details, conversations with no emotional weight, sensory data you don't need, background information. Your memory is built on erasure, which means the story of your life is shaped just as much by what your brain removes as by what it preserves. Here's something even stranger. You don't remember the past. You remember the last time you remembered the past. Every recall is an edit. Every edit becomes part of the memory. Over time, the original event becomes buried under layers of reinterpretation. Your present self rewrites your past self. Your current beliefs, your current emotional state, your current identity, your current worldview. All of these influence how you recall what happened years ago. This means that memory is not a window. It's a mirror, and it reflects who you are today as much as who you once were. Sometimes memory distortion becomes a shared experience. People swear they remember. The Monopoly man having a monocle. He never did. Looney Tunes being spelled Looney Tunes. Nelson Mandela dying in prison in the 1918s. This phenomenon is called the Mandela effect. It reveals that memory is shaped not only by personal experience, but also by culture, language, media, and social reinforcement. A rumor becomes a belief. A belief becomes a memory. A memory becomes a fact. And a million people can end up remembering something that never happened. Humans are social creatures. We align our memories with the people around us, often without realizing it. If your friend tells a story confidently, you may unconsciously adopt their version. If your family repeats a certain narrative, it becomes your own. If a group recalls an event a certain way, you may reshape your memory to fit in. Shared memory creates group identity, but it can also create collective illusions. This is why siblings remember childhood so differently. It's not that one is lying. It's that each of them internalize different emotional truths. Memory is not just personal. It's social. Trauma affects memory differently from ordinary experience. Sometimes it makes memories sharper, painfully vivid. Other times it shatters memory into fragments, leaving gaps, distortions, or dissociation. Trauma-related memory can be incomplete, hyper-detailed, blurred, frozen, repressed, mixed with imagination, distorted by fear. Trauma changes the way memory is stored, often skipping the rational parts of the brain entirely and going straight into emotional circuitry. This is why trauma survivors may remember sensations, but not sequences, or feelings, but not facts. Trauma does not produce clear stories. It produces puzzles. We all create false memories, not because we are dishonest, but because the brain hates gaps. It hates uncertainty. It hates ambiguity. When the brain encounters a missing piece, it instinctively fills it with something that makes sense. Sometimes this is harmless. Sometimes it changes the meaning of an entire memory. Sometimes it creates an event that never happened. This process is called confabulation, unintentional fabrication, and we all do it. When someone asks, "Why did you do that?" your brain may invent a logical reason, even if that wasn't your actual motive at the time. When someone asks, "What exactly happened?" your memory might supply a detail that feels right, but is completely wrong. You're not lying. You're completing a puzzle your brain doesn't want to leave incomplete. Perhaps the most astonishing part of memory is this: your identity is built on it. Your memories tell you who you are, what you value, what you fear, what you've learned, who you love, who hurt you, what your story means. But if memory is flawed, if it bends and warps and reshapes itself, what does that say about you? It means that identity is not fixed. It evolves. It's rewritten. It's a living story, updated by every new experience, emotion, and interpretation. You are not the same person you were 10 years ago, not because time changed you, but because your memories did. So why does memory fail? Because it was never designed to succeed in the way we expect. Memory reconstructs, reshapes, edits, forgets, distorts, protects, invents, interprets. It is not an archive. It is a narrative system, and the stories it tells us are not always accurate, but they are meaningful. Understanding this doesn't make your memories less valuable. It makes them more human. It reminds you to be humble in arguments, patient with yourself, and compassionate with others who remember differently. Because at the end of the day, memory is not the truth. Memory is the version of the truth your mind can live with. And that is what makes us human.